Imagine this, you wake up in the morning, but instead of feeling refreshed, your mind feels like it's wading through mud. You forget simple things, your focus slips, and your emotions are all over the place. What if I told you it's not you're lazy, not because you lack discipline, but because your brain is literally drowning in clutter? Every single night while you sleep, your brain is supposed to wash away toxins, recharge your memory, sharpen your focus, and reset your emotions. But when you cut sleep short, you rob your brain of its most powerful repair system. Here's the shocking truth. Scientists have discovered that during deep sleep, your brain actually cleans itself, flushing out toxic proteins that, if left behind, are linked to memory loss and even diseases like Alzheimer's. That means every time you skip sleep, you're not just tired, you're sabotaging your own future. So let me ask you, what if the secret to sharper memory, unstoppable focus, emotional resilience, and long-term brain health wasn't found in another pill, another productivity hack, or another cup of coffee? What if it was as simple and as overlooked as the way you sleep? Tonight, I want to take you on a journey into the hidden world of your sleeping brain, a world where miracles of memory, creativity, clarity, and healing happen quietly, away from the noise of the day. And by the end, you'll realize that protecting your sleep is not optional. It's the key to unlocking the full power of your mind. Sleep resets the brain, and to truly understand this, we need to think about how our brain works day in and day out. Imagine your brain as the most advanced computer in the world, far more powerful than any device you could hold in your hand. Throughout the day, it's processing thousands of tasks. You're learning, making decisions, solving problems, feeling emotions, storing experiences, and responding to everything happening around you. Every conversation, every bit of information you scroll through, every challenge you face, it's like opening up tabs on your mental browser. By the end of the day, just like a computer with too many windows running, your brain starts to slow down, the memory gets clogged, the processor overheats, and performance drops. What your brain needs is a reset, and that reset button is sleep. When you fall asleep, your brain doesn't just shut off like a light switch. In fact, it becomes incredibly active. During sleep, especially in deep stages, your brain shifts from doing mode to repair mode. This is the time when your neurons get a chance to recharge. All the small damages and stress from the day begin to heal. It's like giving your brain a maintenance crew that comes in at night to clean up, repair the wiring, and upgrade the system. Without this reset, the effects are immediate. You feel foggy, distracted, and emotionally unbalanced. Your ability to think clearly, remember details, or even regulate your mood is compromised. That's because your brain never had the chance to refresh itself. Think about what happens when you go without sleep for just one night. Suddenly, tasks that were once simple become difficult. Concentrating on a conversation feels like running through quicksand. Your creativity feels blocked, and even your motivation is affected. Science shows that after about 16 hours of being awake, the brain begins to perform as if it's slightly impaired, similar to having a few drinks. Go much longer without sleep, and your cognitive abilities fall dramatically. This proves just how essential sleep is, not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity. What makes sleep unique is that it doesn't just recharge your physical energy, it resets the actual way your brain processes the world. During the day, you encounter stress, mistakes, and challenges. Without rest, those experiences pile up like unorganized files, and your mind can't make sense of them. But when you sleep, your brain processes those events, removes unnecessary noise, and strengthens the important signals. The reset effect ensures you wake up with clarity, focus, and resilience. That's why problems often feel smaller in the morning, why creative ideas appear after rest, and why your mood improves after a good night's sleep. Another way to see sleep's reset power is through emotion regulation. The brain has a region called the amygdala, responsible for handling emotions, especially fear and stress. When you're sleep deprived, the amygdala becomes overactive. You react more intensely, get easily frustrated, and find it harder to control impulses. But after quality sleep, that same amygdala calms down, and the prefrontal cortex, the logical decision-making part of the brain, takes charge again. Sleep resets your emotional balance, giving you control over your reactions and helping you respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Even physical health ties into this reset process. Your immune system gets stronger during sleep, your hormones rebalance, and your brain clears toxins that build up during the day. Imagine not taking out the trash in your house for weeks. The mess would overwhelm the space. Similarly, without sleep, waste proteins and toxins clutter your brain, slowing everything down. Deep sleep is the time your brain hits clean mode, sweeping away the clutter so that the system can operate at full capacity the next day. The reset power of sleep also plays a role in memory. During the day, you take in so much information, facts, experiences, emotions, but they are like files sitting on your desktop. During sleep, your brain decides which files to save, which to archive, and which to delete. It moves memories from short-term storage to long-term storage, making space for new learning. Without this reset, you're left with a cluttered mind, struggling to recall even simple details. That's why pulling an all-nighter before an exam often leads to worse performance. Your brain didn't have the chance to consolidate and reset the memory pathways. Ultimately, sleep is not wasted time. It's the ultimate investment in productivity, creativity, and mental clarity. Too often, people sacrifice sleep to get more done, not realizing that every hour lost at night is borrowed from tomorrow's performance. The truth is, your brain cannot function at its best without that nightly reset. Sleep is the ultimate optimizer. It's what allows you to show up sharper in the morning, to think clearer, to remember faster, and to feel more balanced. It's not just rest for the body, it's renewal for the mind. When you close your eyes tonight, remind yourself that you're not just sleeping. You're pressing reset on the most important system you own, your brain, and when you wake up tomorrow, you'll be running with full power, clarity, and focus, ready to take on the day. That's the gift of sleep. It's the brain's reset button. Memory is one of the brain's most fascinating abilities, and sleep plays a role in shaping it more than most people realize. Throughout the day, your brain is bombarded with information. Every word you read, every sound you hear, every conversation, every fact you try to learn, all of these moments are like little notes written down on sticky pads and scattered across your mental desk. By the end of the day, that desk is messy, cluttered, and overflowing. Without sleep, those notes stay scattered. And when you try to find something later, you struggle. But when you sleep, something remarkable happens. Your brain acts like a skilled librarian. It walks over to your messy desk, takes all those scattered sticky notes, organizes them into proper files, and carefully places them onto the correct shelves. That is memory consolidation, and it happens most powerfully when you sleep. There are different kinds of memory, and sleep helps them all. For example, declarative memory is the kind of memory that allows you to remember facts, names, and details. Procedural memory is the type that helps you ride a bike, play a musical instrument, or master a new skill. Both rely heavily on sleep. When you study for a test, read a book, or even practice a new language, your brain captures that information but stores it temporarily in short-term memory. Without sleep, those memories fade quickly, like writing on a fog-up mirror that disappears in seconds. With sleep, however, those fragile imprints are transferred into long-term storage, where they can be retrieved later when you need them. Research shows that people who study and then sleep perform far better on tests than those who study and stay awake. Sleep not only strengthens the connections between neurons, but also removes unnecessary ones, leaving the important memories more accessible. It's like editing a draft, cutting out the fluff and highlighting the key points. This is why pulling all-nighters rarely works. You might think that staying awake to cram in more hours of studying will give you an edge, but in reality, it sabotages your brain's ability to keep that knowledge. Without sleep, your memory becomes shaky, your recall becomes slower, and the facts you tried so hard to learn slip away. But it's not just about storing information. Sleep also improves your ability to learn new things the next day. Imagine your brain as a sponge. During the day, it soaks up information, but eventually it becomes saturated. Sleep brings out that sponge, making space for new knowledge. That's why a good night's rest before a big learning task is just as important as after. If you try to learn with an exhausted brain, it's like pouring water onto a full sponge. Nothing sticks. With a reset from sleep, your brain is ready to absorb again. Dreaming adds another layer to memory processing. During REM sleep, when dreams are most vivid, your brain doesn't just replay the day, it reorganizes experiences and links them together. This is why sometimes you wake up with new insights or a fresh understanding of something you were struggling with. Dreams take pieces of memory and weave them into new patterns, strengthening connections and creating meaning. For example, musicians practicing a piece may find they play it more smoothly after a night's sleep, not because they practiced more, but because their brain practiced for them while they dreamed. Sleep also protects your memories from interference. During the day, as new information comes in, older memories can get overwritten or pushed aside. Sleep acts as a safeguard, locking memories into place so they're less likely to be lost. This explains why people who nap after learning something retain it better than those who stay awake. Even a short nap can provide the brain with enough downtime to begin the memory consolidation process. On the flip side, when sleep is cut short or neglected, the effects on memory are striking. You might notice yourself forgetting simple things where you put your keys, what someone just said, or even an important detail from work. This isn't just absent-mindedness. It's your brain struggling to function without the organizational process that sleep provides. Over time, chronic sleep deprivation can even contribute to long-term memory problems and cognitive decline. Think about some of the greatest thinkers, innovators, and creators. Many of them valued sleep not because they were lazy, but because they understood that rest was part of their genius. They knew that their brain needed that quiet, invisible time at night to do its most important work. When you honor your sleep, you're not just resting, you're training your memory, strengthening your skills, and securing your knowledge for the future. So when you consider the connection between sleep and memory, it becomes clear sleep is not a passive state. It's an active process where your brain is hard at work, taking the chaos of the day and turning it into structured wisdom. Every hour you spend in restful sleep is like an investment in your memory bank. Without it, your mind struggles to keep track of what matters. With it, you give yourself the gift of clarity, recall, and the ability to learn faster and remember longer. Sleep doesn't just support memory, it builds it, protects it, and makes it stronger. Creativity is often seen as a mysterious spark, something that appears out of nowhere, but science shows that sleep is one of the most powerful fuels for creativity. During the day, our minds are busy absorbing facts, solving immediate problems, and reacting to the world around us. We are often so caught up in doing that we have little space for imagination. Yet when we fall asleep, especially during REM sleep, our brain switches into a different mode. It's no longer just recording information, it starts combining it. Old ideas meet new ones, experiences collide with memories, and patterns emerge that you never noticed while awake. That's why so many people wake up with fresh ideas or solutions to problems that felt impossible the night before. Sleep is not the absence of thought, it is the playground of creativity. Think about the times you went to bed stuck on something, maybe a math problem, a project at work, or even the right words for a piece of writing. Then, after a night's rest, the answer seemed clearer, or at least you saw it from a new angle. That is your brain's creative engine working while you sleep. During REM sleep, neurons fire in unique sequences, connecting distant parts of the brain. Emotions from the amygdala, memories from the hippocampus, and logic from the prefrontal cortex begin to interact in ways they don't during waking life. This crosstalk is what allows dreams to feel so strange and imaginative, and is also why so many breakthroughs are linked to dreams or sleep. History is filled with examples of sleep sparking creativity. The melody of the famous Beatles song, Yesterday Came to Paul McCartney in a Dream. The periodic table structure reportedly appeared to Dmitri Mendeleev after a long night of sleep. Even great inventors and writers have credited dreams with solving problems they couldn't tackle when awake. These aren't accidents, they show how the resting brain continues to work, combining and creating while the body is still. Sleep is like an artist that takes the raw materials you give it during the day and crafts something original overnight. Creativity isn't just about art or music, it's about solving problems, thinking outside the box, and making connections that others don't see. When you are sleep deprived, your brain becomes rigid. You find yourself stuck in fixed patterns of thinking, repeating the same ideas, unable to imagine new solutions. But with sleep, especially deep in REM sleep, your brain becomes flexible. It explores experiments and takes mental risks it wouldn't take in the daylight hours. This is why a good night's sleep often leads to innovative thinking and why tired minds often feel trapped in cycles of unproductive thoughts. Dreaming itself can be seen as a rehearsal for creativity. When you dream, your brain constructs entire worlds, characters, and scenarios out of fragments of memory and imagination. These nightly movies are proof of your brain's creative power. Even if the dream makes little sense, the act of linking ideas, emotions, and visuals together strengthens your capacity to be inventive when awake. Many people keep dream journals, not because they want to analyze their dreams in detail, but because capturing those wild, imaginative thoughts can lead to surprising insights later. What might seem random in a dream can inspire a fresh perspective in real life. Sleep also allows your brain to release unnecessary clutter, which clears space for original thought. When you're awake and stressed, your mind often circles around the same problem over and over. But sleep loosens that grip. By resetting emotional intensity and reorganizing memories, it gives your brain permission to step back and see the bigger picture. Sometimes the best ideas don't come from thinking harder, but from letting go, and sleep is the ultimate act of letting go. The link between sleep and creativity also extends to learning new skills. Suppose you are practicing piano or writing code. During sleep, your brain doesn't just store what you learned, it replays it, strengthens it, and even experiments with it. That rehearsal can result in smoother skills, better improvisation, and creative improvements that weren't there before. You may go to sleep struggling with a piece of music, only to wake up and find your fingers playing it more naturally. That isn't magic, it's your brain perfecting and innovating while you slept. When people cut sleep short, they rob themselves of this invisible workshop of creativity. Caffeine may keep you awake, but it cannot replace the unique brain states that only occur during sleep. Without those hours, your ideas become shallow, repetitive, and uninspired. But with enough rest, you give your brain the space to surprise you with insights you couldn't have forced through effort alone. Sleep is not time lost, it's time invested in unseen progress. So when you think of creativity, don't imagine it only as sudden inspiration. See it as a process that your brain is constantly working on. even when you are not aware of it. The best way to encourage that process is not to push harder, but to rest smarter. Sleep deeply, dream vividly, and allow your mind to do the quiet work of connecting the dots. By the time you wake up, the spark of creativity will be waiting, shaped and polished by the remarkable power of sleep. Most people think of sleep as just a way to rest and recharge their bodies. But one of the most powerful things that happens when you sleep is that your brain actually cleans itself. Throughout the day, your brain is constantly at work, thinking, learning, creating, solving problems, experiencing emotions. All of this activity produces waste, just like running a factory or driving a car creates byproducts. In the brain, those byproducts are toxic proteins and metabolic waste that accumulate in the spaces between neurons. If left to pile up, this clutter interferes with how your brain functions. But thankfully, your brain has a built-in cleaning crew that goes to work while you sleep. This system is called the glymphatic system, and it's one of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience in recent years. When you are awake, the glymphatic system is less active because your brain is busy handling tasks in real time. But when you sleep, especially in deep sleep, the system opens up. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through the brain more effectively, washing away waste products and toxins that have accumulated throughout the day. It's like having a nightly detox for your brain, flushing out the clutter that could otherwise slow you down. One of the most important things this process removes is a protein called beta amyloid. This protein, when it builds up excessively, is strongly linked to conditions like Alzheimer's disease and other forms of cognitive decline. Studies show that during deep sleep, levels of beta amyloid in the brain drop significantly because the glymphatic system is actively clearing it out. Without enough deep sleep, those toxins remain. And over time, they can cause damage to memory, focus, and overall brain health. This makes sleep not just a nightly luxury, but a powerful tool for long-term protection of your brain. Think of it like this. If you never cleaned your house, dishes would pile up in the sink, garbage would overflow, dust would cover every surface. Eventually, the mess would become overwhelming, and you wouldn't be able to function properly in that environment. The same thing happens in your brain when you consistently cut your sleep short. The waste piles up and the brain becomes less efficient at doing its job. Reaction times slow, memory weakens, and focus disappears. But when you allow yourself proper, quality sleep, your brain gets the chance to do its nightly cleaning, leaving it fresh, sharp, and ready for the next day. This cleaning process also explains why sleep deprivation feels so mentally exhausting. When you've been awake too long, you're not just tired. You're literally thinking through a brain filled with clutter. Every thought has to fight through the noise of waste and unfinished processes, which is why everything feels harder, slower, and less clear. Sleep removes that interference, restoring your brain to its best working condition. The cleansing function of sleep also connects to mood and emotional regulation. Toxins and waste buildup affect the balance of neurotransmitters and hormones in the brain, which can make you feel irritable, anxious, or even depressed. When you get deep, restorative sleep, your brain not only clears the physical clutter, but also resets emotional pathways. This is why a good night's sleep often brings calmness and stability. While lack of sleep makes emotions spiral out of control, the most powerful part is that this cleaning process isn't something you have to consciously control. It's built into your biology. Your only job is to allow it to happen by prioritizing quality sleep. Deep sleep is where the glymphatic system does its best work. So the more you create conditions for deep, uninterrupted rest, the more effective your brain's cleaning becomes. That means setting up healthy nighttime habits, keeping your room dark and cool, limiting screens before bed, and sticking to a consistent sleep schedule. Even small changes can make a big difference in how well your brain cleans itself overnight. Scientists are still uncovering more about how the glymphatic system works, but one thing is clear as one of the main reasons why sleep is essential, not optional. You can eat healthy food, exercise daily, and work hard on your goals. But if you neglect sleep, your brain cannot clean itself properly. Over time, this neglect erodes focus, learning, creativity, and even long-term health. On the other hand, honoring your need for sleep is like giving your brain the best housekeeping service every night, preparing it to operate at its peak the next day. So when you think about sleep, remember that it is not wasted time. It is an active process, a time when your brain is hard at work protecting you, refreshing you, and cleaning out the clutter you don't need. Each night of deep sleep is like pressing the reset button, sweeping away yesterday's mess so that tomorrow's thoughts can flow clearly and powerfully. By allowing your brain to clean itself through quality sleep, you're not just taking care of the present, you're investing in a future where your mind stays strong, sharp, and resilient for years to come. Focus is one of the most valuable skills in today's world, yet it is also one of the hardest to maintain. With constant notifications, endless streams of information, and the pressure to multitask, attention feels like it's being pulled in 100 different directions. But one of the most overlooked factors in focus isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about sleep. Sleep is the foundation of sharp concentration, and without it, the ability to focus collapses. When you think of your brain as a battery, sleep is the charger. If you wake up with only 50% or 20% charge, you're already starting the day at a disadvantage. Trying to concentrate on work, school, or even simple conversations while sleep deprived is like trying to run high performance apps on a phone that's almost dead. You might get through for a while, but the system is slow, unresponsive, and likely to crash. When you don't get enough sleep, the very parts of the brain responsible for focus and decision making begin to shut down. The prefrontal cortex, which acts like the CEO of your brain, helps you set priorities, resist distractions, and manage time. Sleep deprivation weakens this area, making it harder to control impulses and stay on track. That's why a tired brain is so easily distracted. It simply doesn't have the energy to filter out what's unimportant. Suddenly, scrolling social media, checking emails, or daydreaming feels irresistible, while focusing on a meaningful task becomes nearly impossible. Another reason sleep strengthens focus is because it resets your attention span. Imagine focus as a spotlight. It can shine brightly on one thing for a while, but without rest, the light flickers and weakens. Sleep restores the brightness of that spotlight, allowing you to direct your attention fully on one task at a time. People often believe they can make up for lack of sleep with caffeine or sheer determination, but the truth is, neither can replace the deep restoration that sleep provides. Coffee may keep you awake, but it won't make your brain process information faster or improve sustained attention. Only quality sleep can do that. Sleep also sharpens focus by balancing the chemicals in your brain. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, which play a key role in motivation and concentration, are replenished during sleep. When you're sleep deprived, dopamine levels fluctuate, leading to reduced drive and scattered attention. This is why you may feel restless yet unable to focus when you're tired. Your brain is craving balance, but without sleep, it can't find it. In contrast, after a full night of rest, dopamine and other chemicals are reset, leaving you more motivated and better able to lock in on what matters. Think about athletes or performers who rely on absolute focus to succeed. They train their bodies for strength, endurance, and skill, but they also protect their sleep. Without it, their reaction times slow, their coordination suffers, and their focus fades at critical moments. The same is true for anyone trying to perform at a high level, whether in business, school, or personal growth. Lack of sleep doesn't just make you tired, it lowers the accuracy, speed, and clarity of your attention. Over time, chronic sleep deprivation creates a haze where focus is never fully sharp, no matter how hard you try. There is also an emotional side to focus. When you're sleep deprived, the emotional centers of your brain become overactive, which makes small frustrations feel huge. This emotional turbulence steals attention away from the task at hand, dragging your focus toward negative thoughts and reactions. But after quality sleep, emotions stabilize and your mind is calmer and more centered. That calm state is where deep concentration thrives. It's much easier to focus when you're not battling mood swings and irritability. Another benefit of sleep for focus is its ability to improve learning efficiency. When you sleep, your brain consolidates memories and organizes information, which means that the next day, it's easier to retrieve what you learned. This reduces the mental load required to recall details and frees up more focus for applying knowledge to new problems. Without sleep, learning feels heavier, slower, and less efficient, which makes focus harder to sustain because your brain is struggling just to keep up. The truth is, focus is not just a matter of mental effort. It's a state your brain enters when it is well rested and fully charged. Sleep gives you that state. It resets your attention, balances your chemistry, calms your emotions, and clears your mental clutter. That's why after a good night's sleep, tasks that felt overwhelming suddenly seem manageable. It's not that the work got easier. It's that your brain became sharper. So the next time you catch yourself losing focus, don't just blame distractions or a lack of discipline. Look at how well you've slept, because no amount of willpower can replace what your brain loses when it's deprived of rest. Prioritizing sleep is one of the most effective ways to strengthen your focus and protect your ability to perform at your best. Sleep isn't time lost. It's time that gives you the clarity, sharpness, and concentration to make the most of every waking hour. Good sleep habits are like the secret framework that holds together everything you want to achieve with your brain. It's one thing to understand that sleep is important, but it's another to consistently practice behaviors that actually allow your brain to get the quality rest it needs. Just like exercising only once won't make you fit, one night of good sleep can't undo a lifetime of poor habits. What truly makes the difference is building a routine, a system that ensures your brain gets the deep, restorative rest that fuels memory, creativity, focus, and emotional balance. One of the most powerful sleep habits is consistency. Your brain and body thrive on rhythm, and they follow something called the circadian rhythm. your internal clock that runs on roughly a 24-hour cycle. When you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends, you train your body to know exactly when to release sleep hormones like melatonin and when to release wake-up signals like cortisol. This makes it easier to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. On the other hand, irregular sleep schedules confuse this rhythm, leaving you groggy in the morning and restless at night. Consistency is not about perfection, but about building a predictable pattern that your brain can rely on. Another crucial habit is creating an environment that tells your brain it's time to rest. Many people underestimate how much the bedroom environment affects sleep quality. Light, sound, and even temperature can either support or sabotage your rest. Darkness signals the brain to produce melatonin, so keeping the room dark or using blackout curtains helps you fall asleep faster. A cool temperature also supports deep sleep because your body naturally lowers its core temperature at night. Even the presence of electronics like a phone glowing on the nightstand can disrupt the brain's readiness for sleep. Creating a sleep-friendly environment is like setting the stage for your brain to perform its nightly cleaning and restoration. Equally important is managing your pre-sleep routine. What you do in the hour before bed can either prepare your brain for rest or keep it wired for hours. Screens are one of the biggest culprits because the blue light they emit suppresses melatonin production, tricking your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Replacing late-night scrolling or TV with calming activities like reading a physical book, journaling, meditating, or gentle stretching signals to your brain that the day is winding down. These rituals become powerful cues that it's time to transition from the business of the day to the stillness of sleep. Another often overlooked habit is watching what you consume. Caffeine and sugar late in the day can keep the brain alert long after you want it to wind down. Alcohol may make you feel sleepy, but it disrupts deep sleep, leaving you more exhausted in the morning. Hydration matters too. You want to drink enough water throughout the day, but avoid overloading right before bed so your sleep isn't interrupted by frequent wake-ups. Nutrition ties directly into sleep quality, and sleep quality loops back into better choices the next day, creating either a positive or negative cycle depending on your habits. Movement and exposure to natural light during the day also set you up for better sleep at night. Exercise not only burns energy, but also helps regulate hormones that contribute to restful sleep. Even a walk in the sunlight early in the morning helps reset your circadian rhythm, reinforcing your body's sense of when to be awake and when to rest. It's easy to think of sleep as something that only happens at night, but in reality, what you do during the day shapes how deeply you sleep after the sun goes down. Stress management is another key element of good sleep habits. When your mind is racing with worries, it's much harder to drift into restorative sleep. Developing practices like meditation, gratitude journaling, or simply writing down tomorrow's to-do list before bed can calm the nervous system and help the brain let go.